Hey, Chris here. Hope you're doing really well. I know you're getting ready to have your call with one of our senior advisors, and I wanted to take you through an exercise to get you ready for that call so that you can get the most out of it. We're going to jump into my iPad and unpack what we call the sponsorship clarity scan, which will help you really pinpoint where you're struggling so that you and your advisor can dig deep and get to the heart of the problems really fast. It's really important that you set aside 10 minutes to go through this exercise before you have your call with your advisor. So this is a quick exercise that we call the sponsorship clarity scan. And we use it to get really clear on what's holding back your sponsorship program. So as we go through this together, I want you to think of this as a traffic light. And I want you to grade yourself based on the criteria that I'm going to give you as we go through this exercise. You're either going to give yourself a red, a yellow, or a green. Now, if you don't have colored pencils or a fancy iPad to draw on, you can also just put the letter G, Y, or R in each category as we go. The work that we do with our clients is all about scale. We're trying to grow your sponsorship program and scale it. And in order to scale your sponsorship program, it has to be predictable. You have to be able to repeat it, and you have to be able to deliver on your sponsorship offerings. And it's through the process that I'm about to show you that we help our clients scale and grow their sponsorship programs. The three components to a scalable and successful sponsorship program include the launch phase or sales. You want to differentiate, and you want to get really clear about your offer. I'm going to ask you to rank yourself in each of the 9 areas before you have your call with your advisor. Most people think that all they really need is sales. It's just about getting in front of the right people and showing them your sales materials, and the money will just come pouring in. This is absolutely not true. In fact, if your sales are poor, it is almost certainly in one of these other 6 areas that we're going to talk about today. So let's start at the beginning. In the clarify stage, you want to get really clear about your property. You want to get really clear about your audience. And you want to get really clear about your activations. In order to stand out from the crowd, you want to know your value. In other words, how much to charge. You want to have a great offer. And you want to have great sales materials. As we move into the launch phase, that's where we focus on our sales activity. We have our outreach strategies. We have discovery. And then finally, we have sales. It could be the sales meeting, negotiation, or renewing sponsors. This makes up the entirety of the sponsorship sales process. So let's go through really quickly and rank how well we're doing so that we can share this with our advisor and start to unpack why we might be stalling in certain areas. Most people define their property as their organization, their event, their cause, their podcast, their building, whatever it is, instead of focusing on the marketing value that they bring to the table. So if you find yourself focused on how much money you need versus how you can help a company achieve their marketing goals, then you should mark yourself red. If you have a clearly defined marketing opportunity with defined marketing outcomes, then you can mark yourself green. And if you find yourself somewhere in the middle, then go ahead and mark yourself yellow. When it comes to audience, this one is really simple. If you don't know who your audience is, mark yourself red. If you know who your audience is, but you can only describe them in 2 or 3 sentences, or describe them as people who like to do whatever it is that your property is. If you're a race, people who like to come to our 5K. If you're a podcast, people who like to listen to our podcast. If you're a cause, people who care about our mission. That would make you yellow. And if you have at least 20 data points on your audience and can define 3 distinct avatars or buyer personas in your audience, then you can mark yourself green. Most people are yellow or red here. And then we turn to activations. You either simply put logos on signs, and that's the extent of your sponsorship recognition, or you create activations but have no idea if your audience likes them. That would make you yellow. Or to be green, you build cool experiences for your audience called activations that give sponsors an opportunity to connect with their target market in meaningful ways. So go ahead and rank yourself based on how well you deliver activations. It's really important that you be honest here with where you're red, yellow, or green. Valuation. You have no idea what to charge, so you just make it up. You're going to mark yourself red. You are looking at your competitors and just copying them. You're going to mark yourself yellow. Or you have done a market valuation and you know exactly what to charge and can explain the methodology to your sponsors. Then you would mark yourself green. The offer is really simple. Either you use gold, silver, bronze, in which case you're red, or you offer to customize but don't really want to, then you would mark yourself yellow. Or everything you do is custom to a particular sponsor's needs to connect them to their target audience. You can then go ahead and mark yourself green. When it comes to sales materials, really simple. Either you include pricing and levels and charts and grids, in which case you're red. You have a business case, and in that business case, you present your audience data, your audience avatars, some cool case studies and activation ideas, in which case you'd be green, or you're somewhere in the middle, in which case you would mark yourself yellow. So by now you should start to see perhaps why your sales are not going as well as you want them to be. Now we can turn our attention to the launch phase or sales. If the way you do your prospecting outreach is by reaching out to companies simply because they have money and you would like some of that money, and there's really no reason beyond that, then you're definitely red. If you reach out to companies that are related to your property, then you're yellow. Let me give you an example. Let's say that your property is a podcast all about the outdoors. If you are in the yellow category, then you're only reaching out to companies that sell outdoor equipment, outdoor gear, or retailers that cater to people who love the outdoors. What would make you green when you're doing your prospect research and outreach is by focusing on your audience data and reaching out to companies that your audience is already interested in. When our clients switch to our model of prospect research, everything changes. Many people go to the very first meeting or finally get a prospect on the phone and they try to hard sell them. If you reach out to prospects and present them with a pitch deck or a proposal and try to lock them down into an agreement, you should give yourself a red for this stage of the sales process. If you go to a sales meeting, you ask lots of really good questions, and then you try to sell, you should give yourself a yellow. You're almost there. If instead you go to a sales meeting and your focus is entirely on getting to know the prospect, understanding what they're after, understanding who their target market is, and your only goal is to see if you can help them, then you get to give yourself a green in discovery. And the last piece is an objective measure. If 50% of the proposals you submit are approved and turn into sponsors, then you get to mark yourself green. In other words, you should have a 50% conversion rate on proposals submitted. If you're between 30 and 50%, you should give yourself a yellow. And if you're below 30%, then you should mark yourself as red. So this should give you a nice little 360-degree scan of your sponsorship program right now. While you're talking to your advisor, walk them through what you discovered. You're going to find some yellow, you're going to find some red, and you're going to find some green. Let them know where your bottlenecks are. Let them know where you've discovered that actually you're getting stuck, but also let them know where you're doing better than you thought you were. This will let us dive deep quickly, determine exactly what your challenges are, and then help you develop a path forward. Take a few minutes before your call with your advisor to complete the sponsorship clarity scan, and let's unpack all of the things that are holding back your sponsorship program. Really excited for you to have this call. Can't wait to hear how it goes.